Warning, contains reference to suicide.
As I was cleaning, I found a note in the bathroom garbage can. I found a suicide note. It got pretty real.
My name is Joëlle Pouliot. I'm a journalist and a mental health advocate, and I also live with bipolar disorder. There's no greater fear for caregivers than thinking that their loved one will take their own life. Yet, while suicide and suicidal thoughts are a reality for many people suffering from mental health issues, talking about suicide is still treated as taboo. But ignoring suicidal thoughts won't make them disappear. So how can caregivers and their loved ones broach this very complex topic and learn to talk about dark thoughts in a safe and meaningful way?
On a background of handwritten journal pages laid out side by side, letters in black ink form the word better. Episode 7, Talking Suicide. Dr. Fielding, psychiatrist.
So when it comes to caregivers talking about suicide, I think this is probably very delicate and a very fearful topic. It might have a lot to do with how was the person's entry into their mental illness? Did they start with a suicide attempt? Or did their depression eventually lead them to that?
Suicidal thoughts come at different times for different people. For me, the dark thoughts started slowly during episodes of depression, but then quickly began to take over my mind.
The words, "I'm glad I didn't," appear in black ink. There's a very thin line between suicidal thoughts and suicidal actions. I believe that when you have suicidal thoughts, you're still open to discussion and have a dialogue about it. When you've decided that it should happen, it'll happen. You won't talk about it or let anyone know.
Marco is a close friend and a suicide survivor. He's always been one of the few people who I can openly speak with about suicidal thoughts. Because for caregivers, it can be hard to understand that suicidal thoughts don't always mean that someone will act on them.
So Joëlle, she told me that she wanted to kill herself.
I remember my mom calling me, telling me I had to head to her apartment as quickly as possible because she was suicidal and she had these really dark thoughts. So that's what I did. I got in my car and went to her place. And I got to the 19th floor and I knocked on her door and she wasn't answering. And that was very scary. You just feel powerless when that kind of thing happens. You don't know what to do. You just feel so powerless.
I discovered I had bipolar disorder when I was driven to the hospital, nearly dead on a stretcher. Actually, I was dead when I arrived. I woke up in the midst of a psychotic episode. I didn't want to eat at the hospital because I could literally see spiders in my soup. At some point, my mom mentioned the date to me. I had realized that I had been in a coma for an entire week. 6 months after my first suicide attempt, I tried again. I wanted to be sure that this time I wouldn't wake up. To commit suicide is so complicated. We try to put everything in order. I did lots of cleaning beforehand. I also did something that became problematic because it was traumatic. I texted my mother and sister that I loved them. From then on, the word love was problematic. Every time I say it now, they worry that I'm in a crisis, that it will happen again. They worry about what to do.
The honest truth is, while caregivers might think that hospitalization is the only way to keep their loved ones safe, the message that comes across for patients can feel like we're not allowed to talk about how we feel.
What we would like to have is to feel that somebody who is having suicidal thoughts can share it, and that the other person can listen and can say, is there anything I can do? And if there's nothing that they can do, can they at least accompany the person?
If you're dealing with a loved one who is talking about suicide or feeling suicidal or having these thoughts, I really think it's important to receive that instead of saying, no, don't do that, no, don't think that. It's important as a caregiver to be open to hearing these difficult things.
At other times, we want to engage in, do you need a safety plan? Do you need something where if it really becomes too much of you, here's what you're going to do? And it could be, here's who I'm going to call, or here's where I'm going to go, or I'm not going to be by myself tonight, or I'm going to make sure that I don't drink.
These are hard conversations to have. Being open about self-harm and dark feelings is something no caregiver wants to deal with. But silence is worse than any words that might be said. Today, I'm able to sit with my family and talk about suicide, but it took us years to get to that level of understanding, empathy, and trust. Not everyone has that kind of time.
I remember we were out for a walk once, and I knew you were having these dark thoughts, and you said, like, oh yeah, I want to die, like, all the time, all day. Yeah. I just want to die.
Especially when I found out I had bipolar disorder, it was like, this isn't just once. Like, this is going to be forever. There's no cure, and we're all stuck in this forever. And it's rock and roll. Like, it's high and it's low and it's intense and unpredictable.
Yeah. We would all rather be stuck in this forever than to not have you around. I'm okay with being stuck in this forever.
Know that no matter how you're feeling, there's someone somewhere that you can talk to. Whether it's a friend, family member, caregiver, volunteer at a suicide hotline, you are not alone. Please reach out if you feel you need help and support.
Millions of Canadians care for loved ones suffering from mental illness. There are resources available to help. Visit relief.ca/better. Described video by Mel's.